Aaron Rodgers might be one decision away from shaking the entire Steelers season. Right now, nobody in Pittsburgh can say with full confidence who their starting quarterback will be next year. That is not a small detail. That is the foundation of the whole team. And until that answer is clear, everything else feels unstable. Inside the building, the focus is simple but tense. If Rodgers comes back, the Steelers stay in win now mode. If he walks away, they are suddenly searching again. Mason Rudolph and Will Howard are on the roster, but neither has locked down the job. The front office cannot move freely in free agency or the draft until they know what Rodgers plans to do. That is why this moment feels bigger than a normal offseason rumor. This is about whether Pittsburgh is building around a veteran for one more run or starting over with a new face under center. The waiting game is creating real pressure, and until Rodgers makes it official, the Steelers are stuck in quarterback limbo. A new report just threw gasoline on the Steelers' quarterback fire. The word coming out of Pittsburgh radio is that the odds of Aaron Rodgers coming back in 2026 are very low, and retirement is seen as the most likely path. That is the kind of update that changes the mood of an entire offseason in 1 minute. This is not just noise for clicks, because the timing matters. The Steelers are trying to map out a full plan for the new league year, and a late retirement decision would leave them reacting instead of leading. That is why fans are on edge right now. One report can push people into panic, and it can also push the team into rushed moves they did not want to make. But here's what makes it even messier. This report is not the only version of the story floating around, and the Steelers world is about to split into different camps depending on which insiders you trust. That is where things get tense, because the next layer is not about opinions. It is about whose information is real and whose is wrong. Now the story gets messy because 3 different lanes of reporting are pointing in 3 different directions. One side says Rodgers is basically done. Another side says the return is still on the table and even trending that way. And the gap between those 2 takes is exactly why Steelers fans do not know what to believe right now. And here is what is clear. Some respected names have pushed back on the retirement talk. Reports have mentioned Rodgers staying in touch with Mike McCarthy and even talking with DK Metcalf, which sounds like a quarterback who is still thinking about playing. On top of that, Terry Bradshaw has hinted that Rodgers may have already told the team he would be open to coming back for 1 more year. That is a very different tone than the report that sparked the panic. So this turns into a trust test. Which group has the real read on Rodgers and which group is guessing? And while everyone argues, Pittsburgh has a problem that does not care about internet debates. The calendar keeps moving. Because the next part of this story is not just what Rodgers wants, it is how long the Steelers can afford to wait before their options start disappearing. Yet the Steelers are not waiting for fun. They want Rodgers to make his call before the new league year opens on March 11th, because that date kicks off the real chaos. Free agency starts moving, trade talks speed up, and teams that know their quarterback plan get a head start. Teams that do not know it get boxed in fast. This is why the delay hurts. If Pittsburgh thinks Rodgers is their answer, they build the roster for his style and his timeline. If they think he is gone, they have to chase other paths right away, and those paths come with competition from other teams. The longer Rodgers takes, the more the Steelers risk getting stuck with leftovers, or making a panic move that costs too much. So the pressure is not just on Rodgers, it is on Pittsburgh to be ready for both outcomes. They need a plan for yes and a plan for no. And both plans have to be ready before the market opens. Because once March 11 hits, the Steelers will either look prepared or they will look like a team trying to catch up in public. If Rodgers decides he is done, the Steelers will have to face a hard truth about the quarterback market. There is no perfect answer waiting out there. It becomes a choice between risk, cost, and long-term upside. And that is where the name Malik Willis starts getting serious attention. Willis is younger, and he showed flashes when he stepped in with Green Bay. The sample size was small, but the efficiency stood out. He protected the ball, pushed it down the field, and looked comfortable in limited action. That kind of upside is tempting for a team that does not want to be stuck in safe but average mode again. Still, it would not be a guaranteed fix. Paying a quarterback with limited starting experience always carries risk. But compared to other options on the market, Willis might offer the best mix of price and potential. And that is why, if Rodgers walks away, the Steelers could be forced to bet on growth instead of comfort. Money is what turns this whole quarterback debate into a real argument. The latest contract projections put Daniel Jones at the top of the list, sitting around $33.6 million per year, even though he is coming off a major injury. That number matters because it shows how desperate teams get when the quarterback shelf is thin. Now look at the next layer. The projections have Malik Willis around $20 million per year, while Aaron Rodgers comes in closer to $15 million on what most people expect would be a short deal. And so it is not just about who is better today. It is about what you are paying for and how many years you are buying. That is why Pittsburgh cannot treat this like a normal signing. If they chase the wrong price, they can trap themselves fast. If they play it smart, they can keep options open for the draft, trades, and the rest of the roster. And that is the key, because the Steelers are not just shopping for a quarterback, they are trying to build a roster that can actually back up their win now talk. Here's why Malik Willis keeps popping up when people talk about the Steelers' next move. In limited action with Green Bay, he did not just survive, he was efficient. When he filled in, he completed 70 of 89 passes, and that is a strong completion rate for any quarterback, especially one who has not had a long runway as a starter. The production jumps off the page too. He threw for 972 yards, averaged 10.9 yards per attempt, and posted 6 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. That stretch worked out to a 134.6 passer rating, and his adjusted yards per attempt were elite for the snaps he got. He also pushed the ball downfield more than most backups, with 8.6 intended air yards per throw, which matters if Pittsburgh wants explosives instead of checkdowns. Now the tough part. This is still a bet because he does not have a long track record as a full-time starter. But the upside is why teams could drive the price up, and why Pittsburgh may have to move fast if they want him. At around $20 million per year, he would still sit in the middle of the quarterback pay scale, not at the top, and that is exactly why the Steelers would view him as the best swing if Rodgers does not come back. This is why the Steelers feel like a team playing on a short clock. They went out and added older, proven names around the roster, trying to squeeze one real run out of this window, not just talk about being better. Rodgers is the headline, but the message is bigger than one player. Pittsburgh is acting like a team that wants to win right now, and that means every move gets judged fast. You can see that win now mindset in the early preseason picture too. The first depth chart has Derek Harmon listed with the starters on the defensive line next to Cam Hayward and Keanu Benton. The defense shows the expected core, and the offense has a clear tight end rotation with Darnell Washington plus the Pat Freiermuth or Jonnu Smith split. At quarterback, Rodgers is listed on top with Mason Rudolph behind him, then Will Howard, then Skylar Thompson, and the backfield starts with Jalen Warren with Kenneth Gainwell behind him. But even with all that, there is one more fight still hanging over the whole plan. TJ Watt still needs his extension. The edge rusher market has already jumped, and Pittsburgh knows Watt is the guy they lean on when they need a game-changing play. If they want this offseason to feel complete and not just loud, they have to lock that contract in. Because the Steelers are not just trying to pick the right quarterback, they are trying to prove this entire push is real, before the season starts testing them for real. Blessings to all my subscribers family. Your support means everything. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and I catch you in the next one.